Hello everyone, this is Kshiteej here. I'm a practice member at Mobility, Energy and Transportation Vertical here at Praxis Global Alliance. And today, I'm going to speak about battery charging and swapping for EVs. As the name already suggests, right, EV charging and swapping is one of the critical components of India's $250 billion EV ecosystem opportunity. Both together have a potential to reach about $9 billion by 2030, growing at over 70% CAGR from current levels. Now, when you look into each of these technologies on its own, right, charging has been the backbone for EV development, not just in India, but globally. Your home chargers, those commercial EV chargers that you see on the roads, everything kind of comes under this one large umbrella. But there are two main use cases within charging which has really stood out. One is home charging, which has been used by over 90% of personal vehicle users, whether it is two-wheelers or four-wheelers. And the second is your intercity charging or long-distance charging that is provided by CPOs within sort of intercity routes or interstate routes. Something that you might have seen in big sort of large commonly known routes such as Delhi-Gurgaon or Mumbai-Pune, etc. Other than these two use cases, charging on its own has maybe not done so well. Utilization levels still turn out to be very low, especially for intracity charging, which is still below 15% of utilization levels. And more than that, standardization still is a big concern in this segment because even though the government has set up some standards, the implementation of these standards by OEMs as well as charging providers is still yet to be observed. On the other hand, when I look into swapping, which is kind of like the second half of the coin, it's for a completely different use case. It's for high utilization, short range vehicles such as two-wheelers and three-wheelers, especially in the commercial use case. Here, the speed is the selling point, right? The fact that within a 5-minute turnaround, I can travel about 100 kilometers is the main selling point of these swapping stations. And this is what players like Battery Smart or Sun Mobility have really capitalized upon and have been able to grow in this very segment. On the downside though, the capex for this segment is relatively higher than your charging, right? Or you have to own a lot of the equipment, the batteries that are involved on a very large scale. But when you're operating with fleet operators as well as aggregators, this kind of math kind of just makes sense for them. Especially in India, because the utilization levels have been very high for these battery swapping providers. So now if I was to say whether battery swapping or charging, what is better? The answer is really for which use case, right? So both of them are not as substitutable as you'd think. They're more complementary. They are serving different use cases who require their charging done in a different manner. And going ahead, both will have a significant sort of room to grow. For players in these segments though, there are three areas that they should really focus upon in order to make the most when we go into this 9 billion opportunity in 2030. First is to sort of drive OEMs towards standardization, whether it is your charging point standardization, whether it's your battery standardization, any type of standardization. It's very important for a long-term sort of sustainable future. Looking towards capex light models, looking towards having some leasing options, having partners in play to take up the capital risk in order to grow at a fast level on a national sort of point of view. And lastly, adopting certain digital practices, especially when it comes to power maintenance, that is maintaining the grid, your payment structures, or anything else that is coming in, because that is one of the crucial aspects towards growth. For more on this and other aspects of the EV ecosystem, you should go through our Electrify 30 report, which is also going to be available in the link to this video.